What are your thoughts on this protest?
Well, these guys are paid. They're so organized. I mean, it's less than even 24 hours. They got hundreds of signs made. It's almost like they have a print shop in the back of their People's Forum over here down in the city. That being said, that if you looked at all the videos out on the internet, the people in Venezuela are happy that this is happening because now they don't have to deal with socialism and communism. But the people who are actual socialists and communists are here in America protesting against what's good for the better people in Venezuela, and that's the sad part.
Thank you.
You know, and they want to turn this country into what that country is. You know, they don't want this country.
How are you guys? Where are you from, guys? No? Hi, guys. No more war. Where are you from?
Here.
Here? And why are you protesting right now? Today?
No more wars in Venezuela.
No more wars in Venezuela. And you know about the situation in Venezuela?
Yes.
What do you know about the situation in Venezuela? So, you want to give me an answer? Because we can talk. I'm not aggressive or anything. I just want to talk, actually. So we have here a group of people that they are protesting because they want no more war in Venezuela. But all these people, there's nobody here from Venezuela. So from all these people, nobody is from Venezuela. This is people from United States, this is people from other places, but there's no people from Venezuela. And actually, I am from Venezuela. Andrés Bermúdez Portillo from Maracaibo, Venezuela. I spent time in jail because of the regime of Nicolás Maduro. We have 25 years with a dictatorship. And right now, in the moment that somebody take attention of that situation, people decide to protest because they don't want war.
Venezuela. Esa bandera no es de ellos, esa bandera es de nosotros, esa bandera no es de ellos.
Venezuela, yo, we are Venezuela. You are from my country. What part of Venezuela you are? 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 You are not from my country. You are not from my country. You are not from my country. You are not from my country.
No volverá. No volverá.
We want justice, you say how.
Release Maduro right now.
Release Maduro right now.
Prepagados.
Hay tono de bicho, hija de puta, perra, nigger.
Wow. Manufactured protests, folks. Tonight, the mask is off. Far-left activists took over Times Square, waving communist flags and demanding the release of Venezuelan dictator Nicolás Maduro after the United States captured him on narco-terrorism charges. Signs read, "Release Maduro." Propaganda was handed out, and protesters blamed America for imperialism. The New York City socialist mayor, Mamdani, echoed the outrage, attacking the U.S. instead of the dictator. So here's the real question. Were these real protests or manufactured by non-profit funded operations of the left? We're going to get into it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E. We have so much to cover tonight, folks. Before we light this fire, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement. of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Let's get into this. Again, folks, as you come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience. And again, subscribe. All right, so I want to get you ladies' first thoughts on what we saw happen over the weekend. Again, just initial thoughts. I know we're going to really dig into this, but I want to get your first thoughts as Americans and for the Venezuelan people in Venezuela. Was this military operation overall good or bad for Americans and Venezuelans? I want to get your thoughts, Nicole.
I loved every moment of it. Every single moment of it. There wasn't one thing that gave me pause. Everything about it was absolutely what should have been done. It should have been done years ago. Thank God for President Trump.
All right. All right. Shelley, your thoughts. Was this overall good for Americans and Venezuelans or bad?
Well, considering I didn't lose any sleep, I didn't even know it happened until I awakened. I think this is great. It's magnificent. It's awesome. Our military, yay, military, Delta Force, all of them, all the services represented, a joint operation. Absolutely America first. Great job.
All right. All right. Well, folks, we aren't the only ones that think this was a great job done. There have been Venezuelans throughout the world. They're all celebrating after this weekend's U.S. military operation. This is clip 2. Take a look.
I'm going to try to say this as respectfully as I can. To our Democratic and liberal friends, to hopefully well-intentioned but poorly informed people, sit this one out. See, when the people who are mostly affected are celebrating in the street, this is not the time for you to protest. If you do not personally know someone who tells stories about their father or grandfather being gathered in the street and killed in front of them for their opinion, if you have never had to console your friend because she didn't get to go visit her mother on her deathbed and has never been able to go lay flowers at her gravesite because she was not allowed back into her own country, sit down. Respectfully. What you have to understand is that regardless of your opinions about President Trump, to a lot of people, he is an answer to prayer. Yes, people have prayed for the downfall of this dictator. And like it or not, President Trump has been the answer to that prayer. See, the Venezuela that they remember is not 100 years ago. It's about 25 years ago. For a lot of them, they grew up there and they don't recognize that country and they're not allowed back. Imagine not having access to your own family. Imagine that 1/3 of the country fled, not because they wanted a better life or new opportunities or the opportunity to make money, but they wanted to not starve in their own homes. You can't understand that. You didn't grow up watching the same news as the rest of us in the Caribbean and Latin America did. It's not your fault that you don't know. You're just not informed. So respectfully, sit this one out. Let Venezuela have their victory. No one will judge you. In fact, we'll thank you.
Wow. All right, Shelley. She said it. Sit this one out. As we've seen, leftists, Democrat leaders all over the United States are slamming President Trump for this operation. What are your thoughts on that? What we just saw?
Respectfully, that lady said it very well. I don't know her name, but she put it together fine, very well. These leftists, again, if they're apoplectic, I'm ecstatic, even if I don't know what the issue is. But these leftists, what it is, they hate the fact that America, President Trump, by America's representation, that President Trump specifically did this. He gave the warnings. He's been bombing the boats. Okay, he said that Maduro has to go. Maduro, these same leftists who claim to know a dictator when they see one for 20-something years has allowed and encouraged, supported, whatever adjective you want to use, this particular dictator in Venezuela. These people were refugees. They came and they fled to America. Maybe they'll go back home now. I hope many of them do go back home and protect and rebuild their own country. But these leftists are full of it. They hate Trump. They certainly hate America, and they don't want our country to succeed. And they don't even want Venezuela to succeed. That's just a cover that they use. But they hate us. They hate everything we stand for. And if they had their way, we would be like Venezuela is, or at least was last week. We would certainly be like that for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Nicole, I mean, you have Democrats who in the past were talking about President Trump in his first term, that he hadn't taken out Maduro. And now when he does it, the TDS is kicking in, and they do not want to cheer for America.
Right. I mean, listen, for them, hating Trump is more valuable in their social set than doing the right thing in our own hemisphere. You know, United States runs this hemisphere. I don't care how politically incorrect that is. It is, right? It is what we do. We protect and provide for everybody here. And for a very long time, Maduro, and I'm not going to call him president because he didn't win. Twice, he did not win. He is a monster. He is a monster that most American minds can't even conceive. This is a man who had his people, the people that he was duty bound to protect and provide for and give provision. He's raping men in prison to humiliate them, slaughtering women and children for daring to oppose him. He was Hugo Chavez's handpicked successor, handpicked. This man is evil personified. Evil personified. And the fact that liberals who know this, because the UN, all of the international human rights groups have been screaming this from the mountaintops for years. Our own State Department has given them video evidence. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris put a bounty on this man's head, $25 million. Everybody knows that he's a bad, bad man, but in a Democrat mind, he's nowhere as bad as Trump. You'll see people saying, I'd rather have Maduro as president than Trump. Are you crazy? Because the opposition, he kills. He doesn't give you a chance to protest. There's no walking around with your blue hair. They don't do that. You'll end up dead. You'll wake up with Jesus. You could tell them all about it. They do not play around. This man is a monster, and he needs to be in a cage.
Absolutely. But folks, there's something more going on here. As we saw from these protests in New York, Orlando, Florida, Chicago, Boston, and other areas, they all had very similar people were put in these same areas all over the state, all over the country. They all had similar signs. This was organized, folks. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 4. Okay, I think I meant for a different clip, but we had a clip that showed these protests in multiple areas all over the country, and they're using the same signs, similar people or same people or at different ones. I mean, folks, As U.S. forces captured Maduro, a parallel operation began almost instantly inside the United States. It was coordinated, it was organized, it was mobilized. The street mobilization campaign by a network of self-described socialists, Marxists, and communist organizations, most of which operate as non-profits that do not have to pay taxes. These protests are not organic. They are put in place. It's about ideology. They're stoking discord, and it's all part of a tactic of agitation. And their goal is to overthrow America. But who's behind all of it? We know it. Iran, Russia, and China. And their leaders, they are organizing these protests with people, with socialists within the United States. And they're doing this to stoke chaos within America. And we got to start calling this stuff out. We've been doing this for quite some time, but really digging into this to find out how are these people being funded. Shelley, what are your thoughts there?
Look, the U.S. has a long history of protests for or against whatever side you happen to be on of whatever issue. So that is number one. Number two, these people, I would say, again, I don't know their ethnicities, but let's just say they are Americans. They do have the right to protest, whether we like it or not. They do have the right. Are they being funded? I guess I would say, like you say, illegally or with outside influence? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is not happening. You know, someone wakes up, I'm going to go out here on the protest line. No, it's not. They get a cue, whatever cue they get on their cell phones, wherever they get it, they are ready to go. So yes, they don't realize that they are being used to subvert, if you will, the same freedoms that they are out there protesting. If they were in Venezuela, Iran, whatever, they would be hemmed up. Hell, if they were in Tiananmen Square a few decades ago, they would be run over by the damn tanks. Okay, so these people, they are ignorant, maybe willfully so. I don't know, but they are used, the Iranians, like you say, or whoever's paying for this, they are using the laws of the United States with, I presume, many Americans to subvert their own system and put them in chains, literally and figuratively for the countries that are supporting this. They're ignorant. That's all I can say. They're ignorant. The only way, or at least the best way that we can stop them, so to speak, is to, again, keep getting the message out. And that's why you all are important, because you help us do that with your chats, with your engagement, with your supers. And we have a couple of supers right now. I am going to mention Gimpy Death. Thank you for being one of our mods and for your $2 super chat. Gimpy says Pax Americana USA. Thank you, Gimpy, for that. We have DLNS with your $10 super chat. Thank you so much for just stopping by. Look, folks, we need to get the message out. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Do that right now. We read your supers, as KJ mentioned. Don't forget, if you buy merchandise, take a picture and send it to us, and we will gladly showcase you on our platform. We need your help, and we thank you for all that you do.
Absolutely. So, Nicole, I want to unpack this, because these are not useful idiots. These are people that are being paid to go out here and they don't care about Venezuela. They don't care about war. They're being paid to go out here and protest. Okay, it's about a global war. If anything, it's an information war running parallel to a kinetic one. And what they're doing is there's some entity, large organizations behind these people. And it's not, to me, it's not about the right to protest. They are being put out here to cause chaos. Is there anything you think we can do about this?
Listen, we tried ignoring them. That doesn't work. They tried to burn the cities down. They were blowing buildings up and doing all those kind of things. And we tried arresting them, and arresting them didn't work. Their Democrat legislators raised money and got more money from the wealthy people to bail them out without consequence. Now we have more judges who lean their way, sitting on lower benches that will let them go. We'll smack them on the wrist, give them an ankle bracelet, and send them home. The one thing that I think we can do, I'm going to write this whole generation off. All of these old people that are out here marching for a $200 check because they have nothing else better to do, I'm going to write them off. What we need to do is continue to do what groups have done, is engage college students, engage high school students, engage middle school students. I saw something on social media today where somebody suggested that we have some sort of service to the nation prior to children graduating from high school. It breeds patriotism. It breeds Americana. It breeds exceptionalism. And it makes you proud to be an American. I mean, there's a reason why people are fighting and dying to get here. Unfortunately, the people who live here don't understand it because we've been neglectful in teaching them what this country is about. We are the beacon of the world. You may not like it, but here's the truth. Shelley's right. $200, you could walk down the street holding a sign that says, kill me because I'm dumb. But for the $200, you would do it. These are people who are marching against not only the rights of Venezuelans, but their own rights. It's like you can buy a person for $200. You can rent me out for a couple of hours. I'll walk down the street, hit a cowbell. As long as my check clears, you can call me next time. You're right, KJ. We need to find out not who the small groups are who are hiring these people and sending them the link to get into this. We need to find out where that money's coming from. And I think you're right. I think we'll see China behind it. We'll see Iran behind it. We may see some people who are new American allies behind it, who are seeking to engage in a culture war with us because our laws allow that. Mm-hmm. The framers thought, if we build a beautiful country where people are free, there's no way that people would sell their freedom for a couple of pennies. George Washington could have never dreamt this. Thomas Jefferson could have never dreamt that Americans would sell their soul for a couple of bucks, let alone their country down the pipe. Never conceive it. So here we sit, a generation full of useful idiots.
Yeah, well, they're folks,
for $200, so.
Right, and it seems like they're winning, and so this is why it takes podcasts like ours to get the word out. Because the thing that I believe will defeat these types of people, not to squash the protests, but we need to get the information out, get the word out, get the truth out that these people are not real. They are manufacturing protests. They are manufacturing all of this. Okay. They are not real. And we have to let people know what is going on. These are not real revolutions. Okay. They're fake revolutionaries and champagne socialists. Okay. This is exactly what they are. And folks, we got to let people know that this is not a movement. You know, this is not like the Tea Party movement where you have people all over the place just coming out and they just, protesting and shouting out their grievances. These are paid protesters that are doing this to create some type of culture war, some type of, they're trying to be destructive within our system. And you have people like the media aren't even, getting to the bottom of it. They're going right along. It took Venezuelans who said, wait a minute, you're not Venezuelan. You don't know what went on in Venezuela. What are you talking about? And so this is what we need more of. We need more people to call them out. So, it's not just the left that is out here who wanted to keep Maduro in Venezuela. We have some people on the right, particularly Tucker Carlson. So he has been defending this communist dictator because he's allegedly socially conservative. This is what Tucker Carlson said. Take a look here. This is clip 7.
We can safely discount democracy as a reason for affecting regime change in Venezuela. We're not going to go kill Nicolas Maduro because we don't like the way he's treating his people. It's possible we're mad that he doesn't allow gay marriage. That is a distinct possibility, but no one will say that out loud. Not defending the regime, just saying. One of the most conservative countries in North or South or Central America. Only El Salvador really comes close, which is much smaller, of course. And by the way, the U.S.-backed opposition leader who would take Maduro's place if he were taken out is, of course, pretty eager to get gay marriage in Venezuela. So to those of you who thought this whole project was globo homo, not crazy, actually.
Why are we trying to install this woman? It makes no sense.
Well, because she'll bring gay marriage to Venezuela, and that's important. I mean, that's what we stand for.
All right. So now he had that podcast prior to us taking out Maduro, removing Maduro. He did that before then. But the sentiment is still there. He believes that America really, the whole reason behind Trump wanting to remove Maduro or to get him, to bring him to trial was because we want to spread homosexuality. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
I saw some of that podcast when Tucker did it, or how long ago it was, a couple weeks ago, and I didn't understand what he was saying. I mean, I heard the words, but the obvious answer for any of us or America, Trump going to extract Maduro is written on the wall. It's written on the wall like Hezekiah did. Oil, OIL. That's it. That's the oil. That's why we would go there. I don't even know how he came up with the global homo or the gay marriage issue. I don't even know if that's on Maduro's minds. I'm not even gonna put that on Maduro. So I don't even know how that particular issue came up to Tucker. Look, there is I've said it many times. People have gotten upset with me. I think there is a faction on the right that all they can focus on is, again, homosexuality, gay, whatever. Nobody cares, or at least I don't care what the hell you do in your private residence. I don't care, or with whom, okay? But these people, I don't know. They're so fundamentalist that they can't think outside of the paper bag that they're in. For Tucker Carlson, I don't get it. I don't get it. But oil is the obvious, the number one, the primary reason that we removed Maduro. And let me add, Maduro is being treated better in a New York City jail than he has treated the people in Venezuela for 20-something years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Nicole. And so that was Tucker. Now, he is saying that, as we know, Venezuela is a socialist country. However, he was trying to make the distinction that although they are socialists, they are culturally conservative. So they don't believe in gay marriage, all the cultural stuff that's conservative, I guess. They don't agree with it. And so he was basically saying that because of that, he's saying the reason why the U.S. wants to remove Maduro is so we can spread homosexuality is what he's saying. What are your thoughts there?
Tucker is worried about booty holes too much. Let's do that. Focus in, Tuck. Focus in. This is not what we're talking about. There are gay Venezuelans. They're human beings. Their sexuality is their business. It has nothing to do with the United States spreading liberalism into this so-called conservative country. When you're eating giraffes from the city zoo to keep your family alive, your next door neighbor's sexuality is not high up on the list. You talked about tanks before, Shelley, running over protesters. We don't have to go back a couple of decades to Tiananmen Square. We can look right there at Bolivia. We can look. There's a video, quite literally video of this man terrorizing his own people. That we don't have to guess. There's no people that have to surmise. It's not a secret. It was out in the open. And you know what made it worse is that not only was he killing his people, he then decided that he wanted to kill American kids, flooding this nation with drugs. And let me tell you, when Trump told Mexico and Cuba and Colombia to get their stuff together, he was not playing with them. He's had enough, and we've all had enough. What American life hasn't been touched in some way, shape, or form by illegal drugs in this nation? When I drive into Baltimore City to do our live show in the studio, I have to drive through the zombies to get there. These are American citizens who are so strung out that they would do anything for their next hit. Anything. Somebody has to be answerable to that. And the fact that they have oil, which Americans love, is cherry on top. Absolutely cherry on top. So ask me if I feel bad that we're going to get a couple of 100 million barrels of oil out of this. No, I think that's fair trade. We give you your freedom, you can give us some oil. It works out. I think that's fair trade.
Yeah, well, you're right. You both are spot on with the oil. And well, I think it's definitely more than that, but I do believe that this capture of Maduro is America first. And again,
Absolutely.
not so much because of the oil. Yes, that was definitely a factor in going in and removing him, but it's because we can starve China of it. Okay, so without Venezuela's oil, it's game over for China. No Taiwan invasion, no BRICS reserve currency. Folks, we talked about this petrodollar on here when it first stopped, when we first lost it. For decades, Russia, China, and Iran have been building a presence in Venezuela, a base of power and influence in the hemisphere. And so with Maduro now out, that base of power and influence could go too. And so let's talk about this petrodollar. So the top 5 countries with the most oil reserves are number 1 is Venezuela, then Saudi Arabia, Iran, Canada, and Iraq is the 5th largest oil, country with oil reserve. And so remember, the petrodollar, a lot of people in the economics, what's his name? Tyrone was on here talking about when we lost the petrodollar. This was a huge loss for us. For 50 years, the dollar was the standard for selling oil. Every country on earth had to hold dollars just to buy oil, and it was named the petrodollar. It also turbocharged America's economy for these 50 years, but we lost it. So a couple things caused this, but basically there were back in 2010s under Barack and Joe Biden, energy dominance was abandoned. Iran was appeased. You know, with the Iran nuclear deal, climate ideology replaced leverage, and America stopped acting like a superpower. So what happened? We lost the petrodollar. Oil deals started happening without dollars. China pushed its currency. Russia teamed up with OPEC, and the U.S. leadership shrugged on it. Okay. And so then what do we get? BRICS came. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Their goal was to trade energy without the U.S. dollar, weaken America without war. Same thing we were talking about with these protests and this informational cultural war. And so in 2024, the original U.S. Saudi oil deal expired. So with that, it was like a huge thing. A lot of people were talking about this. So Saudi Arabia started accepting euros, I mean, was yuan, whatever that is. And they stopped treating the dollar as exclusive. So now with us and, getting control over Venezuela, now we have a lot of leverage. Okay. Now we can threaten to dump a massive supply into non-US markets. And so this is going to be a major thing. What do you all ladies think about that, Shelley?
Yeah, okay, so we can go back a little bit further. I remember in the 70s when many U.S. oil companies left for Venezuela, left for South America. Chevron, Texaco, even Exxon, I think Amoco, maybe a couple of others left because there was this promise, this agreement between I think it was Chavez at the time, and then they were going to have beneficial relationships. The U.S. was going to benefit, Venezuela, South America was going to benefit, and that was all changed because Venezuela in particular became socialist, bargaining and hooking up with Cuba, like you said, Iran, other countries. So therefore, that left U.S., this dominance in the Western Hemisphere was not in U.S. hands. This is what Trump is doing. This is about not America first, not just America first in the sense of we will dominate the Western Hemisphere. Okay, keep in mind, if you know your geography like I do, the Western Hemisphere includes Canada, down to the tip of South America, including Greenland, which we will probably take soon. I mean, hell, don't get me wrong. I don't want the people of Greenland hurt, but it's only a little, what 50, 100,000 people there, so to speak. We can take that so that we can have a bulwark against European investment or European intervention in the West, on the Western Hemisphere. That's number one. Number two, this goes along, what is Trump calling his doctrine? The Dawn Road. I love that. The Dawn Road doctrine. I love it. This is what this is, which is a play, of course, on Monroe Doctrine, the Roosevelt Doctrine. But basically, the Dawn Road Doctrine says Western Hemisphere will be dominated by the USA, and then we're going to make it financially dominant as well, not just military, but financial. And the cues that we have shown this weekend to Iran, Cuba, even Russia, and other places in the Middle East is that our military not only is, but still is the best, and we will go into territory. So as far as I'm concerned, in my never to be humble opinion, the oil in Venezuela belongs to us. Everything, 99%, okay, of what we have, we need oil, Petro, whatever, and Americans are due that refund. We have tires, we got construction, things like that. We need the oil. It's not just that we need it, we are due it. And that's what we're going to use to repay Americans and rebuild Venezuela.
Yeah, what are your thoughts here, Nicole?
Listen, a lot of people think that the Trump administration spends a lot of time making sudden decisions. They do not. This plan has been maybe since December of last year. What they did is they took the U.S. Army, right? The Western Hemisphere Command, brand new, December 2025. They put a 4-star general, Joseph Ryan, in charge of it. He doesn't have a call name, which I found pretty weird, but okay, we'll just call him, Colonel Ryan. Works for me. Colonel Ryan in charge of this. What they have done is said, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in all of our military might, all of our army might out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This is going to be our general command, and we will take and control the Western Hemisphere the way the U.S. used to be. Do you remember we were talking about like the 1930s, the 1940s, 1950s, where gas was like pennies on a dollar, people had jobs, there was a chicken in every pot, all that kind of foolishness. We're going back to those days, but the only way we can get there is if we control the landmass around us, right? If we control the resources. Under weak leadership, China had made great inroads in South America.
Mm-hmm.
Great inroads, not like a little bit. We talked about the Panama Canal and how they were telling the people of Panama what they were going to do with the canal, which ships could go through, all of that. All of that had to stop. And the way that we stop that is not waging war on China, but by bringing everybody in this hemisphere who we have protected since their existence to heel. And this is what this is, and it will continue. So when you see Trump telling Mexico, Cuba, and Colombia to get their act together, he's not playing around with them. The United States warfighters are dead ass about making sure this happens. Greenland, everybody, loves Greenland. It's a nice little peaceful country. It's not even a weekend fight. It would take Sec War maybe an hour of tough conversation to get them to give it up. But what we don't want to colonize people, we want to protect people. We want to protect ourselves. Greenland has large land masses that they can't defend. They don't have enough military to defend their cities, let alone the entire landmass. We have to protect home. And that's what this is about. And this is not something that can be easily undone in, let's say, the next election cycle, God forbid, if a Democrat gets into office. This is how we ensure our legacy moving forward so that the United States does not expire after 250 years. We're setting ourselves up for the next 250 years. And we'll do it peace through strength, heavy on the strength, though. Heavy on the strength.
Absolutely. And something you said, Shelley, about how Venezuela owes this to us. They certainly do. They took control of more than $12 billion in U.S. oil assets in the 70s and again in 2000s. So through nationalization and expropriation, they did this. This includes the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ordered Venezuela to pay ConocoPhillips over $8.7 billion for expropriated oil field assets. It was also ordered to pay $1.6 billion to ExxonMobil, plus a related $77 million award in smaller claims. You can all check this out on the New York Post. They did excellent reporting on this. So, it's not like, the U.S. is stealing oil. This is oil that is owed to us and our allies, people, or people that we work with to pull the oil. Okay. So, yeah.
KJ, let me jump in here. I've heard that from a couple of Democrat talking heads today, and kind of in passing, because I try not to listen too much and make my head hurt. What the United States is stealing oil.
Right.
I don't know why Democrats can't wrap their mind around the idea of to the victor goes the spoils, right? When you win, you win. You win it all. You don't just say, okay, if there were a fight, if there was a prize fight, right? Let's say Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Well, when Evander Holyfield beat him, quote unquote, he got the purse. He got the money that went along with winning the fight. Now, Mike might have got a few dollars off of it too, but the big purse went to the person who did the work, who won the fight. This is how the United States operates. It's always how we've operated. And we're not the only ones. The entire world works on this same principle. This is how it's done. I don't know why they can't conceive the notion, or is it possible because the money is not going directly to them and their causes that might be the sticking point for most of them? But this is what happens. If we come in and we take care of business for you, there's a price to be paid for that.
Absolutely.
We're kind, we're generous. We've already taken in several million of you to give you refuge from the starvation, from the hyperinflation, from all the torture. We've given you refuge, but now what we're going to do is we're going to help you build your country again. Now, I'm not big on, rebuilding cultures. As a conservative, it's not my thing. I don't like nation building because it generally means boots on the ground. And I am anti-boots on the ground in any nation except for this one, except for limited capacity. But there are enough Venezuelans here where we can pack them up and send them on back to the homeland, and they can make it happen. Now, there are some people left over from Maduro's reign that are going to have to be dealt with. And I'm just going to say that the way Americans say that. They're going to have to be dealt with. They're never going to change their stripes. They're never going to play fair and even with people. The military people who have taken a campaign of injuring their own citizens have to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
Have to be accountable
Absolutely.
for that.
This goes under 5 words. I want my money back. This goes under 5 words. And not only that, you're right, Nicole, we don't have a good history of nation building and regime change. We don't. And we don't want boots on the ground, but we're even going to use the oil to help Venezuela rebuild itself. We're tired of giving our best, our soldiers and airmen, Marines and sailors and Coast Guardsmen. We're tired of giving them and on other soil to be killed, tortured, and whatever else. And then we have to go in and rebuild the nation that just tortured us. Oh, no. This is going to turn around. We're going to use the spoils that are due us, but we're going to be generous enough to use some to help you build your nation back up. And the Venezuelans, you should go back home to help build your nation. I don't have any problem with you being here legally, but I want you to go home and build. I want you to make Venezuela great again. Okay. Because we're tired of giving our soldiers and people to do all the dirty hard work. And we bring them home in caskets with coffins with draped with flags. No, thankfully, there were no injuries, American injuries over this weekend. Not one. 3 hours or whatever the time limit was. Can you imagine? Beautiful. Thankful. I'm so thankful for that. But not anymore. And one more thing, I'm sorry. This Western Hemisphere dominance, it also sends a message to Europe. Yes, Europe is largely, if not all, considered the West. But Europe, in general, the European Union, they are so weak and feeble-minded, along with the UN. They are feckless. This is telling them, we don't take orders from you. You better make up your mind which side you're going to be on. Are you going to be overrun by Islam and from the East and turn your countries into Sharia law? Or are you going to be on the side of the United States, who is dominating the Western Hemisphere? Because we're not coming to you either. UN, we don't give a damn. NATO, you might be be 50-50, but Europe, you better make up your mind whose side you're on, and you better do it quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, again, as you all come in, hit that like button, It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. Shelly, I think we have some super chatters here. Folks, thank you all so much.
All right. We got Kung Fu. Woo. You're chopping them up too tonight, aren't you? I thank you for your $2 super chat. He says the Biden administration put a $25 million bounty on Maduro. And I think it had gone up to 50 million. So technically, we went and got our own fugitive and saved 50 million too. Give us our money back. Kung Fu CJ again, $2 chat, super chat. He says Trump has given them an ultimatum, Nicole. Absolutely. Thank you for your super chat, Kung Fu. We have Job for 9. Thank you for your $5 super chat. This is empire building, and I'm okay with that. Marco should be president of Cuba when it is liberated. Marco, I have been loving Marco in this role. He has been phenomenal. And so, hey, we need Marco right here.
All right. Absolutely. Okay. So we got to, again, this is what we do on here. We call out the left. We amplify the truth with facts, with data. So we got a Derek Chauvin, The View. All right. So The View, again, they were out talking about, they'd been on hiatus for some time. They were back today. And of course, they are whining and complaining about this military operation. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 10.
Well, so I do think, go ahead. Look, I don't think this is at all about the Venezuelan people. Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about the Venezuelan people. If he did, he wouldn't be taking away temporary protected status from 600,000. He wouldn't be arresting the Venezuelans that are seeking asylum here. He wouldn't be maligning the entire community and sending hundreds of Venezuelans to a hellhole prison in El Salvador. I don't think Donald Trump gives a damn about drugs. If he did, he would not have pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was serving 45 years in federal prison for having brought 400 tons of cocaine into the United States. I think this is a lot about Donald Trump's ego. I think he thought it was going to be easier to get rid of Maduro. I don't know that he thought it was going to take 4.5 months and 1/4 of the Navy arsenal and a cost of over $1 billion to do this. I don't think this is.
So while perhaps no one is going to miss a tyrant like Maduro, is this a legal thing? I mean, who voted for this? Who said, hey, yeah, go on in there and do this? Because originally, wasn't it, he was concerned about the drugs coming in and out, and yet he pardoned like a giant kingpin. And so what is this all about?
I can speak to the legal part of it. I think Anna can certainly speak to the geopolitics of it all, but it's not legal to do this. It tells
people why not.
Well, it's not legal because it violates international law, right? And this sort of represents this new, I mean, I've never seen it before, the president of the United States to kill, I believe he killed over, the U.S. government killed over 100 people, including civilians and military, in Venezuela during this kidnapping and capture. And international law doesn't allow it unless unless Congress declares war, and Congress did not do that. So this country was founded on the premise of the balance of power, right? So you have checks and balances. So you have co-equal powers co-equal branches of power. So you have the judicial branch, and then you have the executive branch, which the president is a part of, and then you have, of course, the legislative branch, and that's Congress, and they're supposed to check each other. This president is doing whatever the heck he wants without any checks or balances, and I have never in my lifetime seen this type of regime change, which is what we just saw, work out well for the United States. It just doesn't work, and in my view, this is completely 100% illegal.
All right. So let's really dissect this. Now, first off, I want to say this. Megyn Kelly came out today on her broadcast and said something sort of on the similar lines. She was, didn't, of course, poo-poo on it like they did, but she was not super excited about this removal of Maduro. Okay. So there have been, it's mostly on the right. It's been people where, we were happy like we are, we don't have an issue with it. But there have been some like Candace Owens, like Megyn Kelly, like Tucker Carlson, who have sort of have not been so happy about this. But so I want to say that first. Secondly, I want to talk about the legality of this. So where was Sonny when Obama and Hillary Clinton attacked Libya's capital and military sites to achieve regime change without any authorization from Congress? She was silent when Obama vaporized an American under his kill list policy without even a criminal charge. So this outrage right now is just ridiculous. I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole. What are your thoughts?
She's wrong as per usual. I don't even know who's going to hand her the blue card and make her correct herself, because that's what's coming. Some producer is somewhere writing a card trying to get her to correct what she said that was wrong. He has ultimate authority to do this. He's not a part of the executive branch. Honey, he is the executive. There is none higher. This is as high as it gets here. He is the chief executive officer of the United States. He is the commander in chief of our military. There is absolutely checks and balances. Absolutely. Congress can get their panties in a bunch. They sure can. The judiciary can get their panties in a bunch. Sure can. But none of them are commander in chief. None of them. And there's a reason why the executive is the commander in chief, because sometimes we don't need to declare war against another nation. Sometimes we just need to slap them around a little bit so they know that we mean business with them. And every president has had quote unquote skirmishes, quote unquote military activities. If the American people knew the things that our government has done to keep us safe, everybody would be like, wow. Mind blown. Every single president has done what they had to do. So when you go to bed at night and tuck yourself in real tight, you wake up the next day, you're not marching in the Red Chinese Army. You're not in North Korea, eating sand for dinner. That's not what happens. You go to sleep in the greatest nation in the world. You wake up in the greatest nation in the world. And sometimes you got to kick a little ass to make sure that happens. And that is how the United States has traditionally worked. And there's no reason to change it. Again, what Trump is doing is ensuring America's future. This is when she says she doesn't understand, I get it, because her logic doesn't work that way. But this is the logical thing. We change the culture. We bring America back to God. We bring our young people back to God. And while we're doing that, we bring everybody else around us to heal. And we let the rest of the world know that we're not here to play these games. We're not going to do this anymore. China may not encroach on us. Russia better sit down somewhere. These people who are running drugs into our nation, keep playing, Mexico. Keep playing. You're going to be California again. You're going to be Texas again. Keep playing with them. He's dead ass. And it's about time people took it seriously. I know it hurts their liberal hearts to see America winning, but I'm okay with that. She can cry herself to sleep here in the greatest nation the world has ever known. And she can wake up tomorrow in the greatest nation this world has ever known, because these presidents will do what it takes to defend this nation.
Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts on the legality of the operation?
So the first lie that Sonny told was that she could argue this and talk about it legally. Bullshit. She cannot. What she said made no damn sense. Number one. Number two, what international law? Do you mean the international law by the International Criminal Court that can't really get its mind together around moral issues and what issues should be legal or not, where they want to go out and put out subpoenas on world leaders like Benjamin Netanyahu just because they don't like him? Bullshit, Sonny. That's number two. Number three, again, I'm going to say it again. The UN, what law? They are feckless. As a matter of fact, they have allowed Maduro to cause all the harm and mayhem for 25 years. So I guess you're going to go with that law. Sonny, go sit down like that lady told you in the beginning. Sit down, because you're in the wrong court, okay? put your law license in the closet, in the frame, because you're not using it well. I don't, get your money back from that school, or maybe you should get a school back money because you just wasted their damn time. So that's that. Also, now, again, as I said earlier, I am all supportive for President Trump, certainly for our military, but long term, we have not had a good record of nation building. So I split it between short term right now and long term. We do need to have a plan. I want Venezuela to be rebuilt because I don't want us to have to go in to have our troops there for 5, 10, 15 years, embedded on some kind of demarcation line, so to speak. I don't want that. But I do want the oil that is ours and any other resources that belongs to us. And I want it to be known that we dominate the Western Hemisphere. I ain't making no shame about it. I want President Trump to shout that loud and clear. Well, I think he's doing so. Number 3, when we have the nation building, as I was saying, we need to have Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, all these surrounding countries, as President Trump is warning them to get their act together. This is more than just oil. It is primarily oil, in my opinion, but it's more than that long term. Venezuela is not going to go down as some, third world country because it's in our hemisphere. And that's the point that President Trump is trying to do. The sunnies of the world, you will still benefit. You know why? Because all the oil that it's going to take to make all of your jewelry and your leather and your furnishings, you need that oil too. You need that to heat that house, that mansion you got, and you might need those Petro dollars to help keep your husband out of jail when he has to go face his criminal charges. So this honey, Sonny, sit down. You cannot argue it. You don't know what you're talking about. International law for the U.S. We are a sovereign country. So to the international law, fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, for somebody named Sonny, this woman never celebrates wins for the United States, at least a win caused by President Trump. But again, this was a lawful operation. The immediate purpose and result of the operation was to capture Maduro, bring him to face his indictment in New York City. She didn't say anything about that. He is under indictment. He was, as you mentioned, Nicole, there was a price on his head. Okay.
Absolutely.
And guess what else? This is Noriega 2.0. This Maduro operation is going to be justified as lawful as executing the criminal warrant and responding to an international drug cartel, a very similar legal framework to the one that we used against Noriega. And so that set precedent. And so I don't know what she was talking about there. But yeah, Jonathan Turley, for you guys who know, he's a strong legal mind. He had a very good article on Fox today. He said, and I quote, "The courts have previously upheld the authority of presidents to seize individuals abroad, including the purported heads of state. This case is actually stronger in many respects than the one involving Noriega. Maduro will now make the same failed arguments that Noriega raised. Presidents have engaged in such policies for years. The aftermath of the operation is distinct from its immediate purpose. Trump can argue that, absent countervailing action from Congress, he has the authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to lay the foundation for a constitutional and economic revival in Venezuela."
There you go.
All right.
There you go. I'm sorry, KJ, I forgot one thing. I'm sorry. I meant to mention this. I lost my train of thought. I looked at my notes. The War Powers Act. That's what I wanted to say. The War Powers Act. Also, it's so broad. And again, there may be some legal challenges, whatever, but the War Powers Act gives our president 60 to 90 days, even after an operation, if you will, to talk to Congress. So they're still well within, it's only 2 days ago, they are well within the powers of the War Powers Act, which again, if you want to blame anybody, blame Congress for it's so broad. The war is so broad, which allows this. So go to Congress again, which I've said many times, our Congress is so weak and they just don't get it together. But President Trump and this military operation were well within their rights and their authority to do so.
Yeah.
Well, listen, the Gang of Eight has been notified. They were notified shortly after the operation began, and that is the executive's notification to Congress. It doesn't require the executive to call every single member of Congress. He contacts the Gang of Eight. These are the leaders of both parties and the Intelligence Committee, and tell them what happened. Now, it's up to them to go ahead and spread the news amongst their rank and file members, but they have followed the law tick by tick by tick by tick.
Absolutely.
Everything has been done in a line. And again, I know people think that the administration doesn't have a game plan. Of course they have a game plan. And what you're seeing is this game plan that would normally take here in the United States 20, 30 years to kind of roll out. They're rolling it out inside of what's going to be 3 years. Because truth be told, what's going to stop them? What's going to stop them? We have to change the culture and secure the homeland. And that is what he's doing. And he's doing it at a rapid rate. And Democrats feel some kind of way because every day it's something new. They don't know what to look at. They don't know how to take it on. It's like you have one little butter knife and you're fighting an octopus. I mean, no matter what you do, it's coming for you. And I get that feeling of being overwhelmed. I'm a Republican in Maryland, so I get what that feels like, that everywhere they're pinching you and poking you and prodding you. But this is the game. You guys played stupid games. You had Joe Biden, didn't know what day it is, what his name is, auto pinning everything. You had to know that pendulum was going to swing back the other way. They had to know that. And so here we sit. America is changing in front of their eyes, and they don't like it. And that's what we get, squawking and crying.
Well, and oh, go ahead.
I'm saying we also get our super chatters. They came to see us too. Let's call them out. We have Reldon 65. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Reldon says, "Tell us, Shelly." Thank you, Reldon, for your support. Big Paulie, thank you for your $2 super chat. We are the international law fool. That's right. That's right. Josh, Happy New Year, Josh. Thank you for your $20 super chat. Josh says the British intel is using Tucker and Candace to divide MAGA in hopes that President Trump will lose the midterms. We should do a joint show with Promethean Action one night. It's all becoming clear. NATO hates President Trump, and the UN has been hating him since the first administration.
From the beginning.
That's right. Too White for Coke. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Sunny makes me sick. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She needs a STFU. She needs to go get her husband out of jail. That's right. Amen. Thomas Duvalis, thank you for being a member for 14 months. Thank you, Thomas, for that. Wow. He says, "I love your work, ladies. Best wishes from Kobe." I'm still waiting for that steak from Japan. Thank you, Kung again for your $2 super chat. He says, "The army going in is an act of war. No other branch."
Absolutely.
All right, Too White for Coke again, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Sunny talking about kidnapping. Maduro was a wanted man. He had a price on his head by Biden. We went and we were out within 3 hours. Absolutely. How's he kidnapped? We took him to New York. He's been seen. He's had an arraignment. I never heard of a kidnapping that does that.
I wish they would stop saying people are being kidnapped, because it takes all the zhuzh from people who are actually snatched. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. This is not kidnapping. We call it an arrest. It's the same thing with the ICE. They're saying, "Oh, they're kidnapping people." No, it's called an arrest. This is what they do. They get a warrant from a judge. They show up to where you are and they take you into custody. It's called an arrest. Kidnapping is when a kid's on a bike riding down the street and suddenly the kid is gone. That's kidnapping. These grown criminals, this is an arrest. America, we got to start using the right language again because this is getting out of hand. This
Absolutely.
is foolishness.
Speaking of right language, Marco Rubio, who I call him Tony Montana Rubio, set the record straight this weekend on the mainstream media. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 11. He's talking about why they about the operation that they did. This is clip 11.
He's still in place. The defense minister, who has deep ties to Russia, $15 million price on his head, he is still in place. I'm confused. Are they still wanted by the United States? Why didn't you arrest them if you are taking out the narco-terrorist regime?
You're confused? I don't know why that's confusing to you.
They're still in power.
It's very simple. You're not going to go in and wrap up. But you can't go. You're going to go in and suck up 5 people. They're already complaining about this one operation. Imagine the howls we would have from everybody else if we actually had to go and stay there 4 days to capture 4 other people. We got the top priority. The number one person on the list was the guy who claimed to be the president of the country that he was not. And he was arrested along with his wife, who was also indicted. And that was a pretty sophisticated and frankly complicated operation.
It was.
It is not easy to land helicopters in the middle of the largest military base in the country. The guy lived on a military base. Land within 3 minutes, kick down his door, grab him, put him in handcuffs, read him his rights, put him in a helicopter, and leave the country without losing any American or any American assets. That's not an easy mission. And you're asking me, why didn't we do that in 5 other places at the same time? I mean, that's absurd. I do think this is one of the most, daring, complicated, sophisticated missions this country has carried out in a very long time. Tremendous credit to the U.S. military personnel who did it. It was unbelievable, and tremendous success. And today, an indicted drug trafficker who was not the legitimate president of Venezuela, who we don't recognize, the Biden administration didn't recognize, 60-something countries don't recognize, the European Union doesn't recognize, and many countries in Latin America don't recognize. He was a indicted drug trafficker. He was arrested. His wife was arrested, also
but the
indicted,
the others who are also indicted are still
system of courts.
The others who are also indicted are still in place. So that's the point of my questioning there. But you talked about not being the legitimate.
So you wanted
president.
us to land in 5 other military bases?
No, I'm asking why you chose that this was the limit of the military operation. But to your point that you just made, that that Maduro was not the legitimate president.
He was the guy who was claiming to be the president.
Right. Well, the opposition.
He was the top target.
All right. So you all, right before our eyes, we sat and watched Martha turn into mealy mouth Maggie. Okay. He wiped the floor with her, and I loved it. He said, "You're confused? You're confused?" I loved him. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. I mean, do you think
Margaret,
it's an issue why they didn't arrest the other people?
Look, if what you call him, if Tony Montana wasn't clear enough, let me spell it out for you. They took the top guy. They took the guy at the top. You take the top down, basically you cut in the head, then the rest of the body doesn't know what it's going to do. It's going to flail. Don't you get that? It's called strategy, Margaret. And that's what you do. Not only that, the brilliant, fierce American military special force joint operations, they went in, extracted him, not kidnapped him. They extracted him and his wife. They probably fed them, gave them blankets, treated them very well. They probably got treated well, like we don't get that treated that well in coach class. They got treated like they were getting first class treatment all the way to New York, and we kept $50 million along the way. What don't you get? That's because you hate the fact that Trump did it, that it worked, and this is America first in action.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because
go ahead.
Had this been Biden, they'd be marching in the streets. There'd be ticker tape parades. Margaret would be swinging around a pole somewhere in the studio.
Call her Maggie. Call her Maggie. She is a maggot Maggie right now. Maggie.
I'm going to say this. I don't know why she keeps asking Marco to come onto the show. I don't know why, because he shuts her down all of the time, and he does it. And today I think was the first time I ever saw him kind of like slightly lose his composure with her. Because it was one thing, she's dingy, she's dumb, she reads the question and she pretends like she's focused, right? But it got to the point where he was like, what don't you understand? We took the top dude and you're already complaining about us taking out the top dude. So you wanted us to stay and gather everybody up so you could have a meltdown bigger than the meltdown that you're having? I mean, him calling her out in her mind, slowly ticking around to the point that he was right. The only thing we didn't see was the smoke coming out of her ears. It's hard to get people who don't believe in American exceptionalism to see the good that this nation does. Seeing the Venezuelan people party in the streets, seeing other Latin American people party in the streets. Because listen, if the United States is chin checking this one guy, the guy that we got growing up here is probably going to think twice before he starts raping, maiming, and killing people, right? This is a change for everybody. This is a big deal. This is why Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, was like, well, wait a minute. I don't think I like this, because narco-terrorism is how I make my money. That's how we support this nation. Between that and the people that are in your country illegally sending us money home, which now you're taxing at a higher rate, I'm feeling like you're not giving us any way to win here. So this is what you're going to hear from these countries who make their money killing Americans. This is what you're going to hear from them. What are we supposed to do? Well, we're going to send all your people back to you. I think you should have a meeting and work it out. I think that's probably what should happen. Maybe some elections, pick better leadership, do a little nation building of your own. There are lots of things you can do, but the one thing you can't do is play with us. And President Donald Trump has made that absolutely clear to the world. And if you're an American and that doesn't make you beat your chest, if that doesn't make you fly your little flag a little bit higher, check your temperature. I think you're dead.
Yeah. And here he is again, Mr. Montana, Rubio, Marco Rubio Montana says why they took over the oil fields. This is clip 12. Take a look.
Let me ask you about oil. The president says the U.S. is taking over the oil. The question is, I guess, if the purpose of the operation was to capture Maduro and bring him to justice, why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't need to. First of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Have specific oil companies?
We also want to see that oil and the proceeds from it. Hold on. We want to see the oil proceeds of that country benefit the people of Venezuela. Why have 8 million people left Venezuela? 8 million, the single largest mass migration probably in modern history, left Venezuela since 2014 because all the wealth of that country was stolen to the benefit of Maduro and his cronies in the regime, but not to the benefit of people of Venezuela. You know how destabilizing 8 million migrants is? The number one fear that Brazil has, that Colombia has, that all these countries in the region have about what's happening in Venezuela and our involvement is they're afraid of another mass migration event. That's what they fear. This is deeply destabilizing stuff. It's not going to continue to happen. They are not going to come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
All right.
I know that's right, Marco. I know that's right.
Don't in Montana. We got some super chats. Laura, thank you for your $2 super chat. Okay, I can remember. Can you bring that back? Thank you, producer. Laura says, say hello to my little friend. Okay, hi, little friend. Thomas Duval.
Tony Montana.
That's from Scarface.
Oh, Tony Montana. Oh, okay,
say hello to my little friend.
Thomas Duvales, thank you for your 2,000 yen. Thank you so much. You've made my day and you've made ours, Thomas. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Two White for Coke again for your $5 super chat. Sonny talking about kidnapping. Maduro was a wanted man. He had a price on his head by Biden. We went and we were out within 3 hours. Absolutely. Yep. Look, Rubio again. In this role, he's phenomenal. I'm almost hesitant for him to run for vice president because I love him as a Secretary of State. I just, I'm kind of torn there, but he has stepped up to the plate and he is certainly holding the line with these people. Margaret Brennan's of the world and what's that? Kristen Welker. Let me tell you why you need the oil. You need the oil for that limo that comes to get you every day, okay, and take you back and forth to that studio. You need the oil for those suits that you're wearing, the mixed synthetics or whatever. You need them that for the shoes, that desk that you're sitting on, all of that. You need oil and you need it every day. And thank God for it. And thank God for President Trump, because this is what Americans do. This is who we are. And I ain't making no shame about it. No qualms about it.
Yeah. Nicole, I want to ask you, Nicole, about, so we see a running pattern here. These Democrats, mainstream media, They are hell-bent on talking about the oil. They believe that we should not have gone in. Even though this guy was under indictment and things like that, he was a narco terrorist, all of that, he was dictator, terrible. They believe we should not have gone in because of the oil. What do you say to these Democrats? Because I was at a Super Bowl party, not a Super Bowl, but a football party yesterday with a bunch of Democrats, and they were saying the same thing. How can he go in and take their oil? How is he? It's not his country. Talking about Trump. What would you say to that?
Shut up. I would say shut up. Shut up. Close your mouth. The adults are talking. Because listen, while you're out here trying to find a place to plug up your toy car, the rest of us need the damn oil. Everything. I guarantee you half the people in that room at that Super Bowl party had something on made by a byproduct of oil. They work in industries powered by oil, powered by energy. Energy is the new gold, so to speak. The person who controls the energy controls the world. This is why our Department of Energy is so very important to Americans. It is why everybody just kind of like, what are they going to say about energy? Because without it, we're sitting in the dark. Without it, we're Afghanistan. We're Iran, right? We're these third world countries that at 6 o'clock, everything goes dark and you're going to fight for your life at night. We need it. We have it here. Make no mistake. But it's like money. You can never have too much. You can never have too much. But these are people who believe that you can. These are the great-grandchildren and sometimes the grandchildren of the hippies who said, oh, America's always doing the wrong thing. In the meantime, they're taking full advantage of all the perks of us doing the wrong thing. These are very privileged people without the responsibility. What we're seeing from the war fighters of this country, from this administration, is taking that responsibility to America's future seriously. And Shelley, I don't know about Marco being vice president. I was thinking that's a primary on our hands, girl, because I'm going to tell you, I love JD. I love the way he moves, but there's something about the way that Marco kind of brings people to task in common language so that everybody understands. He's a well-educated man, but he doesn't hit people over top of the head with a thesaurus. He's your straight up, unapologetic American.
No argument there.
Which brings me to our t-shirts, right? To our merch. Listen, family, I know the holidays was rough on the pocket for everybody. Me too. I may have spent a smidge too much, just a smidge. It's a little bit too much. But as we're getting into this year, we've already had a couple of A250 parties. We're going to have several more A250 parties, especially going into Black History Month, into Women's History Month. You're going to see all these organizations throwing parties. Don't you want to go and look good? Show up in your unapologetically American shirt. Now, I'm going to tell you, there'll be a few people with them on because, this show is a little bit popular. But most people are going to ask you where you got it from. And then you can talk about us. You can say, listen, come and join the chat. We got the best chat on the internet, bar none. Absolutely bar none. And this is the way that you can identify yourself in a crowd full of other people with shirts on, with flags. This makes you family. This is the way that you show people that you belong here with us. So get your t-shirts now. Get them while they're hot. You can get them in different colors. I'm preferable. The black is my favorite. I'm just going to say that. I got 2 or 3 of them. And there's no reason for you to wait. Get it now before the summer comes, because you never know what might happen. Coming this summer, we might run low on them. There may be a rush on them. You might not be able to get any more. Buy a couple now so you're ready for the summertime. Buy one for a friend. Get the man in your life that trucker hat they just had up on the screen a few minutes ago. That's a good look. Be prepared for the party, because when I tell you we're going to party, this nation's going to party like nothing you've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, folks, please, as you all come in, hit that like button. We want to get 1,000 likes on this broadcast before we leave tonight. We still got a lot of show to left, folks. We got to talk about Mamdani. We got to talk about Walz. And we're going to talk about the feud going on between Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant out of Atlanta, Georgia, and Bishop Patrick Wooden. This was a huge thing over the weekend, so we got to talk about it all. But before we get to it, Mamdani, or I should say Maduro Mamdani. All right, so folks, he has started his reign of terror in New York City. Nicole told you all you had 2 days to get out. All those who are left, we were praying for you. And here he is. Well, actually, his tenant director, her name is Sia Weaver, saying that New York City will transition private property to being a collective good, folks. This is very serious and scary. Take a look, clip 6.
I think the reality is that for centuries we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good, and we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently, and it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently
should really
have.
Look to what Brandon Johnson and as well as the Chicago Teachers Union is doing to really use the schools and the city as sites of resistance against the federal incursion. If you're comfortable in your coalition, you're not winning power. If ICE and the National Guard are coming to New York City, ICE is already here. If the National Guard is coming on January 1st, which we know they are, we really have to use our tenant associations and our parent-teacher associations and our public schools as like networks of defense in support of Sharon's agenda and in support of our neighbors.
Oh my! Did you all hear that? She said, especially white families. She's coming for your stuff first. Shelly, what are your thoughts on that? Can you? Well, I guess we can believe it, but.
That he told us this number one. She said the white part out loud, but did you hear? It's some people of color. Some people. All of you black folk or people of color who thought that you were going to get everything free from Mamdani and other people's labor. Your cards are up. Your house, your car. It's going to be shared property. You might as well just leave the windows rolled down and leave the doors unlocked, leave the keys in ignition, because it's not going to be yours anymore. Mamdani, this woman here, but first I would tell her, bitch, start with your house right now. Open the doors and let everybody in. This is asinine, but I don't, again, the voters voted for it. More than 60% immigrants, non-Americans voted for this. This is what you get. This is whatever country you want to put on there. Somalia, Iraq, whatever, Afghanistan. That's what that is in New York right now. That's what you're getting. All of this collective, collectivism or whatever you want to call it, collective property. This new relationship to property. You know what the new relationship is? It ain't gonna be yours.
Yeah, and Nicole, then on the second part, she said that then they were going to, I guess, what do you call it? They take the property and then use it for like places where you tell them when ICE is coming and union places, all this type of stuff.
Listen, she is a Marxist. Make no mistake. Where's Yana when you need her? Marxism, right? This is precisely what she's talking about. Seizing the property that you've worked hard, and the equity in said property that you've worked hard to build for the collective good. That warm collectivism they keep talking about. Warm collectivism. We warned you. We told you to get out while the getting was good. So now you have this woman who is a housing justice for all person, and she believes that home ownership is akin to white supremacy.
Wow.
Make that make sense. Especially as Black homeowners. I'm a white supremacist because I choose to invest in the future of my family. Is that what that is? And I should work hard for the collective, but not for the individual. This is the problem when you start kind of having this global mindset that nobody belongs to anything and everything belongs to everybody. Nothing works that way. It's never worked before. It's not going to work now. It most assuredly is not going to work in New York City, because all the people with bated breath who are waiting for free things to rain out of the sky like manna are going to be sorely disappointed. Sorely disappointed. I mean, almost as mad as they were when they saw Zamdamit's wife standing there in those $600 boots.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Wait, does everybody get $600 boots or just the mayor's wife? Is that how that works?
This is crazy.
It's worse than crazy, KJ. But here's the thing. This kind of idea of controlling housing should sound very familiar to Marylanders, because we have that here. Renters have the right of first refusal.
Right.
On a property that they're renting, if it has less than 4 units, the first right of refusal. So if you're renting out your house to somebody and you decide to sell, move to Florida, which is a good idea if you live in New York, sell, unless you're a Democrat. You're a Democrat and you voted for this foolishness, stay your ass where you at. But everybody else, if you want to get out and sell your house, in states like Maryland, you have to give the person who's renting it the opportunity to buy it first. To offer you something competitive that you were getting from other people. And this is not new to Maryland. This has been our law for a little over a year now. I think it was like in October when they passed this bill. So this is not a new idea. This is Democrat 101, and it's coming to a blue state near you. Hold on to your hats, people, and hold on to your property.
Wow. Folks, this is detrimental. Not just, we know the Marxists and communists, but to the fabric of our country. Private property is a natural right. It's not a social favor. My goodness, John Locke argued that property comes from mixing somebody's labor with the world, not from government permission. I mean, people should be in the streets about this. Oh my goodness.
Well, according to Obama, you didn't build that. But let's see what our super have to say about this. All right, we have Thomas Duval. Thomas, you like us tonight, don't you? You're back with us.
Thank you.
All right, we got the producers. Thank you. Josh, you're back. Thank you, Josh, for your $20 super chat.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Ask Grok about popping politics. He is incredibly effusive and funny. Elon must be a fan of the show. I did Google it real quick, or X it real quick in Grok, so I put it in our chat. We're going to laugh at it. Thanks, Josh, for that. Buchanan, thank you for being a member of our Super Club. I'm sorry, Freedom Club. And all right, producers, slow down for a minute. All right, 2 white for Coke, $2. All right, thank you. I guess we'll be kidnapping Mamdani next. Thank you, 2 white for Coke, for that. All right, that's it for now. Thank you, producers. Thank you. All right, KJ.
All right, thank you all so much. All right, we will keep you all updated on this story. All right, so moving right along, Tim Walz, folks. Breaking news out today. He ends his re-election campaign amidst his state being plagued with fraud and corruption scandal. But guess what? This he may be moving from the governor's mansion straight to the federal penitentiary. So breaking out this evening, the Department of Justice is launching a criminal probe into Tampon Tim in relation to the endless fraud he oversaw in Minnesota. All right, so this is getting hot, folks. It's getting steamy, and I love it. Take a look at this clip where he was at a press conference talking about him ending his re-election campaign. This is clip 8.
I'm proud of the way we treat our neighbors. I'm proud of the way that we welcome people to this state. I'm proud of the way that we innovate. And I'm proud of the way that we are optimists for the future. No one's taking this away from us. Not the fraudsters, certainly not this president, not on my watch. Tomorrow, I'll be back with you. I'll give you an update on America's best paid family medical leave program that is now a week into it. And at that time, I'll take all your questions. Thank you all.
Thank you, Thanks more tomorrow. Appreciate it. Thank you. You said you were going to take questions. Why didn't you?
Thank you all. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
You hear the news? They say, well, I thought you said you were going to take questions. No, because he's liar. He's a
Listen.
liar. This guy and the rest of these corrupt leftist politicians are frauds. He's just like Biden. They run away from pressers like this. Okay. No, he didn't want to take questions. Shelly, what are your thoughts there?
No, and I guess again, we didn't play the whole clip, but during that his press conference, he basically blamed Trump and Republicans that that we are coming after him and or the Somalians, and we're stopping them from having their funds for their daycare. It ain't my damn responsibility to take care of their children. Okay, no, it's not. And we should come for those fraudsters from Somalia and anywhere else, including you, Tim. I hope next year, for the election, I hope you will be in the chair. I shouldn't, not the electric chair, but just the chair in the jail, some prison in Minnesota, wherever you want to have it. I hope that's where you get for election day. That's what you will get. That's my vote for you. It's not our responsibility. Go ahead with that mess. You're not going to answer questions. He's not coming back tomorrow and telling us about some program because he don't want to answer the questions.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts?
Listen, he gave you guys some hints about what he thinks is coming next for him. That part where he said, not on my watch, he doesn't believe his watch is over. He thinks by not running again for governor, it makes him a shoo-in to be appointed to the U.S. Senate.
Oh.
Uh-huh. And Democrats are good at, switching the chairs out on the Titanic, so to speak. But that would be a bar too far for most Americans. So the DOJ and Pam Bondi are, I know people don't like her too much, but Pam has been doing her thing quietly behind the scenes. She's been lining stuff up and knocking things down. Ask Maduro, right? Yep. We brought him in some gray sweatpants, him and his wife. They got a free ride on the USS Iwo
Well, I'll be happy when they indict him when he's locked up.
He's already indicted. I want to see him
indicted, but when they,
I want to see him convicted. I want to see him in prison. Make no mistake. But I think bringing charges, or at least looking into this whole thing with Tim Walz in a more significant way, does two things. One, it kind of quells all the other Democrat politicians who are seeking to emulate, to some degree, the fraud that Walz has walked away from. At least he thinks he's walked away from. And two, it dampers his hope of sitting in the U.S. Senate. Definitely dampers his hope of being in the U.S. Senate. So it's a twofer when they're talking about bringing charges against him.
All right, folks, sound off in the chat and let us know what you think about that press conference. And do you believe that he's going to face criminal charges? I'm still upset about Fauci. When is he going to face charges? When is he going to get his just desserts? So sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. All right. So we got to talk about this last topic, folks. This has gone viral. So just to bring you all up to speed, Pastor, and I use that in quotes, Pastor Jamal Bryant, he's actually originally from here in Baltimore, Maryland, is now he's a bishop, Reverend Dr. Bishop in Atlanta, Georgia. He's a charlatan. But anyway, he and his wife, First Lady Carrie Bryant, went to some event and she wore what people are calling a look nude lace dress. Okay. And so she got a lot of flack for this. People were saying it's unbecoming. It was not modest. What First Lady, it wouldn't be something a First Lady should wear. It was too revealing, so on and so forth. Well, one of the people that pushed back against him was one of my favorite pastors, Pastor Bishop Patrick Wooden. Okay. He is out of North Carolina, the Upper Room church. And he had some harsh, I was actually surprised he said this about him, but he had some harsh words for Pastor Jamal Bryant and the First Lady. And so take a look. This is clip 9.
The other day, the internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund. They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down. They never said anything about this was the largest fundraiser for for HBCUs in the country. But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded People got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress. Now you got to help some people because some people have embraced the full knowledge of ignorance without any assistance for understanding. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color. But because you ain't never been nowhere and ain't never been exposed to nothing.
I want to thank the Lord today. I'm going to preach. I want to thank God for the First Lady. Amen. And I thank God that your First Lady, my wife, First Lady of this ministry, First Lady of this church and North Carolina 3rd Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction. I thank God that she dresses like a First Lady. I thank God. I thank God for that. The lowering of standards are amazing. A preacher presented his wife the other day, and I guess you call that a flesh-colored dress. I don't know. It's black dress and flesh color. It gives the illusion that she's not wearing anything underneath. And I heard the preacher when he defended her dress by saying, first of all, he bought the dress. And then he said, I want to address people who don't know anything, who haven't been anywhere, who don't know nothing. So I guess our objection to a man of the cloth presenting his wife in public looking like a $2 whore.
Ooh, my God.
At least two. Now, I didn't say she was. I'm not talking about her. My statement is not about her. My statement is about him. I said he presented his wife, and he said he bought the dress. Those are his words, not mine. And there is nothing classy about that. There's nothing modest about that. He said we haven't been anywhere. What I would like to know is where have you been? Where did he go? So I'll make sure that I never go there, because I don't want to go anywhere and I come back with that kind of a notion. Now I will say this, and this is a comment about my wife, not his wife. This is a comment about my wife. My wife wouldn't have done it, no matter what I said. She just would have said, honey, I'll wear this for you.
All right, so let's pause it here.
I'll wear this for you at home when we know the grandkids aren't coming.
Okay, so ladies, I want to get your first response to this. The first question is, what did you think of the dress? I'll start with you, Nicole.
It's definitely not my style, definitely not my taste. But her husband had pearls on his jacket. Did you notice that when he was standing at the lectern in front of his packed church? The gray jacket he had pearls around its neck. They're not like us. They're not like your traditional Christian couple. I don't know what part of the clergy, what part of the barometer they fall on, but they are definitely not like the rest of us. If he prefers to see his wife scantily clad in public, that's a personal problem for him. But for her, as a woman of God, the answer would have been no. I'm gonna wear it. We could have a nice party in the house. We could wear it right here. But you're not going to get me tore up by the entire world because I'm supposed to be a role model. for women who are seeking modesty, right? This is not modest. It is not. Flesh colored, black lace makes no difference. Sometimes you have to take a look at a dress. And Andre Soriano is a friend of mine, right? He makes beautiful dresses that are gorgeous dresses. But there's the time and the place for things, and it wasn't the time and it wasn't the place. But I want to correct one thing he said about them raising $4 million for the United Negro College Fund like it was some big deal. Let me tell you, President Trump with $1.34 billion for HBCUs. Boy, sit down somewhere. The pocket change. Pocket change.
Oh, and you know he had his hand out in some of that as well.
Of course, they paid
Bryant.
for them to be there, flew them in. They probably paid for the dress.
Absolutely. All right, Shelly, what are your thoughts on the draft?
First, I want to comment on the $4 million. I mean, if you can raise all that, give me my money back. You don't need the $1 billion that President Trump. I mean, I'm like, okay, well, if you can do that so easily in a weekend, hey, you don't need mine. Give it back. That's number one. Number two, honestly, when I saw the dress, I was like, ooh, that's a little risque. However, I don't see her nor Jamal as a pastor and first lady. So I don't see them in that context because Jamal is sort of I don't want to say jackass, but I'm gonna say jackass in the pulpit. Okay, I said that in the pulpit, right? So I don't even see them. I know that's the title and that's their church, but to me, she and Jamal are actors or glamour stars, if you will, or celebrities, because that's not necessarily a church that I think of. So in that sense, I see why they wore that, or she wore that, and he bought it for her, because they were basically walking the red carpet. They weren't walking the pulpit, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn because first off, I understand that as a first lady, as a woman of God, that you are supposed to carry yourself in a certain way. She is supposed to be an example of not only femininity, but of women with integrity. And no matter where she is, whether she's in church, whether she's, in Target, wherever, she is supposed to carry herself a certain way because she is an example of a Christian woman, or she's supposed to be. Now, with that being said, we all know they are not examples of Christian anything, of biblical women, of nothing. Neither one of them are, but they're supposed to be, but they're not. They're not. And it's just as Bishop Wooden mentioned, women, 1 Timothy 2 says women should dress with modesty and self-control. And the reason behind this is not to dictate what women wear, or men for that matter. It's about, not being a stumbling block for other people. I actually have a dress like that. I had a dress like that, and I hadn't worn it in a long time. And I went to put it on, and my husband said, "Where are you going?" And so I was like, "What?" And he was like, "It's see-through." And I was like, "No, it's not. It's just new." And he was like, "No, I don't think you should wear that." And so I was like, and I'm one that does push the envelope. I probably shouldn't wear some of the things I do wear. I will admit
that's the problem, KJ. Well, I shouldn't say the problem, but that is part of the conversation. There's this broad spectrum of what modesty means to some. And I'm talking about even in a Christian or a religious context. What some people say is modest, maybe is not, and vice versa. I mean, there are some people who have a problem with women, Christian women having their arms out. I mean, I'm just saying, or having any part of their chest shown or whatever. So there's some people who say women shouldn't wear pants or things like that. So there's a spectrum. And again, I don't have a problem. I thought it was risque. Don't get me wrong. I think it was risque. I know that there's a sheer covering, a new covering on that dress. So I know she's not naked, but again, that's a discussion or a challenge, if you will, that's been around for a while. What, quote unquote, what does modesty mean? And it doesn't mean the same to everybody. I mean, her husband.
I've heard that. I don't think, I think we all have a general understanding of what is acceptable and what is not. Now,
well,
there
they
are
don't.
some people
That's not.
who-
Well, then she did. She thought that was acceptable. Then
there are some. Yeah, because I can understand that coming from them. I can understand that. Nothing they do.
That we don't all have the same.
Nothing they do is acceptable. Generally, nothing he doesn't preach from the Bible. They are not acceptable as Christians, as a first lady, as a pastor. Nothing. But when we're talking about modesty, it is a general exception of, are you wearing something that is lustful, that's going to make, if you're wearing a dress that is supposed to make the appearance of being nude, that's we can all generally agree, people who follow the Bible, who that's not acceptable. You're trying to look like you're naked.
I get that. So using your example that you gave of the dress that you have, right? Mm-hmm. You said you were going to wear it. So we don't all think the same, because you were going to wear it.
It wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I said that before I started. I am one that probably pushes the envelope. I admit that. And as I've gotten older, I realize some things that I wear, I probably should not have wear or wore. I do that. I can admit that. But and that's something I'm working on. I'm not
saying that to point you. I'm just saying that, using the example, then I'm saying that we all don't have the same definition. Then we all don't have. That's my point.
Well, here's my hot take.
I'm making the point because I knew that the dress was not right.
I know you said that, but I was trying to make that point. But then you said what you knew. My point was
I think most people know. It's like, generally speaking, if you wear something and you're questioning, is this okay? I wonder if this is too risque. You know it is. Generally speaking, we know as women, we know. It's just the question is not if it's whether or not it is risque or it's immodest. The question is, do we care? That is this is what it is. Okay, it's never really, and generally speaking, it's never the question of is it lacking modesty. The question is, do we care?
Exactly.
And so, but we know it is what it is. But now, my next question for you all: do you think Bishop Wooden went too far? Shelly, do you think he went too far with the $2 whore comment and stuff?
Yeah, I would say yes. And let me tell you why. Because he said that she looks like that, but then he said that's not about her. Well, yeah, it was, because you said she looks like the $2 whore, even though her husband bought her the dress and whatever. So I don't think he needed to add that part. I think his commentary on it was relevant, was certainly in the realm of the public discourse, if you will. But I don't think so. Again, I don't know this woman. I do know Jamal Bryant, because when he used to be here in Baltimore, I've gone to his church before, years ago, when he was here, when he was up and coming. But I don't know this woman. She's a beautiful woman. But see, my point is, I start with, I don't even see them as quote unquote role model. That's where I start, because they're role models for another reason. Let me say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts there, Nicole? Do you think Bishop Wooden went too far?
No, and I watched this whole thing.
Yeah,
and he said some other stuff that wasn't for my ears. He was talking to men, and so I think Bishop said what he needed to say to drive home the point to his parishioners, right? To drive home the point to people who were listening, to make sure that traditionally believing Christian people understand that the line hasn't moved. Jamal Bryant and his wife are attention seekers. This is what they do. And this was done purposely. She intended to, quote unquote, break the internet. And what she really has done is broken the bond between her husband and all of the other Black preachers who are saying, come on, bro, really? First, you out here, sanctifying, quote unquote, gay churches, and then you okay with ripping babies out of the womb, and now you got your wife out here pimping herself. At some point, we're going to need you to stand up, kinda, just a little bit on your faith, just a small bit on your faith. And I think that call to him to do that is going to see more petty from him, because that's who he is. She'll probably come out in a G-string and 2 pieces of salami, a la, Lady Gaga on Sunday, just to prove the point she can.
Oh,
just
Lord.
because you can doesn't mean you should. And that's a part of a woman growing into her maturity. Of course, everybody's got some slinky stuff in their closet. You go to the back of the closet and be like, I'm going to kill him in this. And then you look in the mirror and be like, oh, I could kill him in this, but boy, do I really want to. Do I really want that type of attention? All women do that. All women want to believe that at some point that they could squeeze back into a dress, and it may fit great, but that time in your life has passed. That season of your life has passed. And to have your husband say, you know what? I like that $2 whore look. Let me go buy you some couture that just feeds into the whorishness. And then we're going to go to the United Negro College Fund. Hear that? Fundraiser. And shut down the internet. Instead of it being about the kids who use that money to get educated, it was all about his wife's
Jamal and Carrie.
Exactly. Attention seeking. That's my hot take. They did it on purpose.
Absolutely.
They got the attention that they wanted to get. What he wasn't anticipating is Black clergy not saying, well, that's just his wife and that's just how they do. But Black clergy saying, what the hell? Come on, bro. Really? I mean, when will it be too far for him and this wife?
It's not.
Will be the line that they finally say, you know what? Maybe we ought to straighten up a little bit. Maybe.
As long as they're getting paid, they're going to keep keeping on. I wanted to get just a couple more minutes of it because he really goes in, Bishop Wooden. Take a look at this next part.
Because there is such a thing as decency. Decency. Y'all don't like me. But in public, at an event where everyone will see, I don't know of a greater way for a man to demean his wife.
Ooh.
And if he doesn't think that that is demeaning her, there is something wrong with him. But then again, we're also talking about the guy who looked at Cam Newton's legs and told Cam he had pretty legs. Yeah, see, so, something is wrong. And we live in a day where people will amen anything. The members of the church screaming amen of her pastor, the first lady, wearing a dress that is designed to make it appear that she's wearing nothing underneath. Now, I'm going to preach, but I want to tell you this. I've been a man since I was 18.
Uh-oh.
I was almost one before then. But I'm 64 now, so I've been a man for a while. So I want to talk to you about the world of men. The world of men. The world of men. In the world of men, when men see a married wife with her husband dressed like that, the signal that's sent to the world of men is he needs help. He ain't hitting it right.
Oh.
In the world of men. I said the world of men. Now, ladies, don't judge me. You don't live in the world of men.
That part.
All right, so this is the part I wanted to get to and wanted to ask you all your opinion. So there's two parts to this. There are two different sides people land on when it comes to that. Now, some people are saying, look, she's with her husband okayed the dress. Sometimes husbands or boyfriends or whatever, they want their wives or their girlfriends to wear these types of outfits so other men can be envious. Oh, I got this good looking woman, this sexy woman, whatever, and I'm showing her off. And then there's the other side that sides with Bishop Wooden. We're saying he did something wrong with him for allowing his wife to leave like that with him. What are your thoughts there, Shelley?
So So I think Bishop Wooding, the older I've gotten, I think a younger person, a younger man wants to show his wife off. And don't get me wrong, men love showing off beautiful women. They're women. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. Men want their women to look beautiful, to be beautiful, and they want to, say, hey, I got this beautiful woman on my arm. That's just a man's way. But a good man, a good woman, a good man doesn't want everybody else to see his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference between, I would say, an immature stage of a man into a mature stage of a man. I'm not necessarily blaming her. He did buy the dress. She wore the dress for her husband. It happened to be in public. Okay, whatever. But again, they are more celebrities than they are pastor and first lady. And this is what we see. That's why I say this is what we see on the red carpet. The celebrities do this. Hey, whatever. That's all I can say. Whatever.
What about you, Nicole? Which camp do you fall in?
So here's my thing. It's just wrong. I mean, there's no two ways around it. My church is very progressive leaning, meaning that people come however they are. Like if you're, you work for Waste Management and it's church time and you pull up on the truck, you can come in jeans and this and this and this. And we do have some girls that wear like leather, like pants and a jacket. So it's in DC, so it's more of an urban environment. With that said, she's the first lady of that church, quote unquote church. And he's quote unquote the pastor of this church. But they are more celebrity, at least in their own mind. They are definitely more attention seeking in their own mind than they are kind of aligned with Christianity. I think he sees this as his job. Like, this is how he makes the money to have the wife with the scantily clad dresses. I don't think that he sees this as a personal alignment with God. Because if he did, he would value his wife much, much more. God's word tells us a man who finds a wife finds a good thing, right? He's supposed to find a good thing. He's not supposed to be sharing a good thing with everybody. It's supposed to be for him. But I think Jamal Bryant would absolutely sell her soul if it meant him getting 3 more parishioners, 2 more people to click his Instagram, somebody else to like him. They're just attention seekers, and there's no two ways around it. It's a bad combination to be a pastor of a church and be an attention seeker. But they're going to do it again. Make no mistake. I'm guaranteeing you this Sunday, there's going to be some stuff. There's going to be some stuff.
Well, sometimes God uses this sin or, things that are not supposed to be, they use this for good, because what you guys continue to say that he's not really a man of God. I mean, it's right. From what I'm gathering. And so sometimes people need to see certain things like this to realize that, because I do believe he does have people who follow him, who believe he is a man of God, who believe he is a Bible believing pastor. And he's not. And so maybe this is the straw that broke the camel's back to show people this man is a charlatan. He is, not what he perceives to be. He's not Bible believing, and it's right, not just within the church, it's just within his own house too. So we will certainly continue to follow this story. But you want to read the super chats, Shelly?
Let's see who we have here. We have the Voice of Reason, $5 super chat. Thank you also for being one of our mods. He says the issue is it's supposed to give the illusion of, I guess, being naked. And that's the point. Absolutely. Right. Also, the Voice of Reason again, for your $10 super chat, says 80% of his church is Black women, and that is the head lady of the church. He knows that the Black women of the church will defend that garbage. She is married. That's not for the eyes of society. Right. I agree. It may not be, but he bought her the dress. So
at least that's what he's saying, because we don't know what he's telling the truth.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a shame, though, that this would have been a great moment for them to say, we underestimated. We didn't know the light was going to hit it that way. It wasn't going to look that way. We're going to self-correct, because we don't want these same young people that we work so hard to raise this money for to think this is the way, right? Because in the Black community, we got some issues when people glorify the twerking of rap stars over the accomplishments of people who study, learn, write poetry, and do all of the cultural type things, we have problems. We have problems in New York City where, a baby's not even safe in his own mother's womb. We have problems, real problems in this community. And it should not be people who have been tapped to lead communities, because he does have a following. And I'm sure there are people, women who went out that same day at Ross Dress for Less, and they was trying to get as naked as the first lady, right?
You're as naked as the first lady.
Let me tell you, they trying to keep up with Dr. Curry. That's what they're trying to do, because all of them would love to be her. All of them would love to be in her shoes until they actually are in her shoes. To have a husband who does not respect you, who doesn't care if the world respects you, it has to be disheartening. It really does.
Yeah, it is. For all, and this is my last point, for all of the, I guess, progress, if you will, that we've made, and particularly in the Black community, even the Black church, they talk about how Black women, all we've been known for are our hips and our thighs and our breasts and all that. This is what you see coming from a church parading her around. And again, she's a beautiful woman. I'm not taking that from her, but parading her around only for her body. And she is also, I understand, a PhD. Or MD. No, my point is that they upplayed the body and downplayed the knowledge. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, but then they talking about misogyny. They quick to talk for the jeans commercial was with the actress was about misogyny. And another thing, as you mentioned, it's always the women half dressed standing next to fully clothed men. So but again, this is a symptom, or this is the result, I should say, of this culture that we have, particularly in the church, where the church has become more like the culture and less like Christ. And so because of that, we now have it spilling over into the community, and we see girls out here glorifying their bodies, half dressed, all these long lashes and looking crazy, rings all over their bodies, noses and all that, face, cheeks, everywhere. It looks a mess because they don't have any self-respect and they don't have anybody to look up to. So, folks, we had to cover that. We wanted to cover it because it's been going viral. We wanted to give our 2 cents, a little less than $2, but. I can't believe he said that. I hit the floor. I said, Bishop.
I know. That's what I said. I'm like, oh gosh, Bishop.
Wow. Took me out when he got to that man talk. That's what took me out. I felt completely out of my chair at my desk. I was like, say what now, Pastor? Yeah, and then he hit me with, "I'm not talking to you women." I was like, oh, okay, well, let me not pay attention because you don't mean me. But oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh,
I want to give a special shout out to Tiggy, who's back with us in the chat tonight. Happy New Year. I knew you would come back, Tiggy. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also breaking news, folks. So I know we did mention the what do you call it? Tim Walz is the DOJ is looking at him and his administration for serving over all of that corruption. But we actually have more breaking news out this evening. So of course, JD Vance's home attacker was identified as a trans man. So fake man. The suspect accused of smashing windows at Vice President JD Vance's Ohio home over the weekend has been identified as Julia DeFore, a transgender woman. Okay, so she's a transgender woman formerly known as William DeFore. Okay, so it is a man that thinks he's a woman. And the daughter of, no, it's a woman that thinks I don't know. And the daughter of 2 wealthy Democrat donors. So no motive has been released, but the suspect has a prior criminal record, including a guilty plea for vandalizing an interior design firm in 2024. Also breaking out this evening, President Trump touts the CDC announcement today, reducing the number of jabs for children from 72 to 11 vaccinations. To include hepatitis A, B, RSV, bacterial meningitis, rotavirus, and influenza. These will no longer be recommended. All children be vaccinated against those viruses. He updated the schedule, rooted in the gold standard of science and widely agreed upon by scientists and experts all over the world. That's in quotations. All right. And finally, today, Wall Street ended higher with surging financial shares, helping lift the Dow Jones Industrial Average to an all-time peak, while energy firms jumped after a U.S. military strike captured Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. All right. So the markets are happy. Final thought.
We have a few super chatters. Those were the headlines. Thank you. We have, all right. Hat Lady 51, where have you been? Your $20 super chat. I guess she's saying Jamal and Carrie remind her of Jim and Tammy Faye.
Oh.
Oh God, thank you. Who else do we have? Producers? Is that it? Okay, that's all we have. Thank you all in the super chat. On your way out, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Make sure you do it now. We're trying to get 1,000 or more likes for this particular show. Go back and watch it again. If you forgot to hit that like, do it now. Go ahead. Here's your chance. We thank you so much for your support. And Nicole,
listen. I am so very excited about American kids not getting 72 shots. I am so excited that the government is stepping back and allowing American medicine to do what it does best. We make great decisions without the government. We make amazing decisions about what thing works best per child. There should not be, a flat pattern. If your kid doesn't fit into the pattern, why does he have to get an additional 52 shots? Just because Johnny fits the pattern doesn't mean Susie fits the pattern. So this is really good news, very good news for American children. We now finally match Europe. And if we need more, if your child needs more, it's available. Look how that works. It's a wonderful thing.
Yes,
so much
indeed.
good news. So much good news.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have another super chatter. Crystal. Hi, Crystal. Beyond Labels. Hi. Happy New Year again.
Hey, Crystal.
She said he's teaching less, talking about Jamal Bryant and not God. Great work, ladies. Thank you, Crystal, for that.
Thank you, Crystal. We should have had you on for that conversation. All right, folks. So that does it for us tonight. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to be back tomorrow night, folks. We have now added another broadcast, so you can catch us on Mondays at 9 p.m., Tuesdays, I believe around 7:30. We're still looking into it, but definitely Tuesday night, tomorrow night, Wednesdays at 8 p.m., and then Fridays at 9 p.m. 4 days a week now. We're going to bring you the latest in news and hot topics. So we thank you guys for your support, and we will see you tomorrow. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.